All right, this is Transparency and Merit, and I'm here with Joe, and this is Musk, Trump, Rogan, and Stoic Calm. And uh, basically, Trump and Musk and Rogan have, I guess, said belittling things about Trump, and Trump has I think he's called Musk to be a fake or a phony or whatnot. But to a degree, I think it's kind of good because it ushers in um, sort of a place for free speech. I mean, they have Truth Social, and maybe if Musk buys Twitter, it'll make it a place where both Trump supporters and non-Trump supporters can meet and people can have a free and open dialogue. I don't know if that's necessarily possible right now with the way things are going. And I don't know if I mentioned it or not. You know, my brain's starting to go. But that Rogan also stated that he wouldn't have Trump on his show. So, Joe, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but are we ever going to get to the true information age where we can talk about subjects at hand freely and openly without punishment, fear of
Yeah.
punishment or censorship.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. Because that picture is coming in. Okay. Coming in.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you said a lot there, and I'm just at a point where technology, obviously, it's a tool we all use. It's a great tool. It can be powerful, but there's nothing new under the sun. And what is new is that the notion I've never heard this week for some reason. I don't know why. I've heard the same thing about this about Elon Musk, and they've been saying some of the things I've been saying for a long time, and they're calling him a fraud, they're calling him a fake, but at the top of the list is that he is an actor, just like everybody else on the world stage, and he is a nothing more to me than a puppet. He does wields some power in the sense that something he says can affect certain things, and people act on those things. So it's crazy, but following him can help you pay off. It could help pay off in some ways. I am not a leave the good Joe Rogan. I'll never leave. Joe Rogan's pathetic, and the fact that he's calling out Elon Musk, it's like two actors bumping heads into each other. I don't really give a crap, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of Elon, but he does have some power because so many people believe in things he says. Well, go check out what
I was,
he's been on many television. He's been on TV his whole career. What do you mean he's not an actor? Of course he's an actor. He's the ultimate salesman. The name, not even him, because I don't even know if he's the same dude. And every time we see Elon Musk, is it the same guy? There's even question about that. I don't know. So yeah, there is question there. Joe Rogan is a total puppet. I agree with that. He's changed his views. He's completely abandoned ship. He used to have a really good message. I think back when a lot of people really started to love him, he was. But if you even go back even further, the whole idea he was the number one podcaster. I think before even people who knew who he was the top podcaster. He got pushed up to the very top, and that was all by design, of course. So yeah, is he an actor? Of course he's an actor. Get out of here. Okay, Brian, you want to be heard? Go for it.
well, I don't know whether these people are actors or not. I just remember the way things used to be with regards to the internet. And it certainly has become a place where groups of malicious people can punish you for doing or saying something that they disagree with, and they can take things out of context. And I've said this before, and I think I think you're going to be traveling around. My question to people is: are human beings entitled, or should they get due process whenever possible? And that's a very American thing to do. Anytime there's punitive action, there should be due process. And what I'm looking at now is the internet can go out and punish people, and the court of public opinion only sways in one direction. And that trials are being run by the media, and who controls the media. And I want to bring people back to those who remember the McMartin preschool case. And those people were completely slandered by our mainstream media. And they can do it again today. And we haven't learned any lessons from these things of the past. Maybe because we haven't viewed it. I mean, we haven't looked at it. We haven't examined the past very well, and we don't see things as clearly as we can. And the internet was a place for some truth to happen, but truth cannot happen with censorship, and particularly the kinds of censorship we're seeing today, Joe. Whether it's getting the jab, whether it's wearing a mask, this whole thing with the pandemic. What do we do?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. You're chomping at the bit. I think you have some things to add on that.
I just wanted to say, a lot of times I want to go strictly by my experience, what I see, what I go through in life, and one thing we can go through and we can discuss. I mean, one thing we have gone through and that we can discuss is just based on podcasting, which we've taken as a practice, right? I mean, it's always been a practice for us, and we've tested certain waters, certain places, certain times, and just over the evolution of the show, in the last 10 years, 11 years, there are things that I certainly avoid saying, because I know a stream will get shut down, or it'll get us a strike. And but so many people are calling this out, and they're sick of the damage. Information has been compartmentalized. I saw it and started calling it out, even when I talked. I remember years ago, and a friend of mine works at a company that digitizes and stores digital information for companies. And one of the things they were doing, and I listened to a whole meeting about this, was this huge contract that was being fulfilled, and that they were going to go into major universities here in Southern California and throughout the country, and digitize the libraries for those books, which I thought immediately was a terrible idea. Why are they going to do that? What are they going to do with that? What information is going to get twisted? And it was very 1984 when I heard it, and now I've seen it. I've seen information disappear. I've seen whole catalogs of information disappear. And if people don't speak up, it's going to get even more and more controlled. And if people out there don't recognize the value of a book, or original source information, and if you don't see how that can get twisted up, then that's on you. But it's certainly a issue to be wary of, for sure. All right. So there's that, and yeah, technology really kind of brings me into like a kind of a sore subject though every time. So uh, it's really devastating to realize that so much information, and not even like, I'm not talking about ancient information. I'm talking about information that
Well,
may
Joe,
only go back within our lifetimes that's been censored and edited and converted and twisted.
not
Go ahead.
only that, yeah, not only that, I just wanted to say this real quick. Not only that, but the technology has been weaponized against dissenting views, and they've used the technology to censor and weaponize. And they're controlling the language so they can gain control. And they do not want to debate, they do not want to discuss. They want power and control, they want obedience, and they want to punish those who are disobedient. That's what I am observing. And that's what people like Elon Musk, in my opinion, and Tim Pool are pointing out. Mainly, I mean Tim Pool, but I think Elon Musk is also on the forefront of these individuals with these ideologies. And again, I'm seeing a lot of people. I mean, and I think there are a few mechanized people who've just decided that they want power and control, and they want to control the narrative. And from my perspective, I think they believe what they are saying. They are true believers in their ideology, and they will lie and cheat, and probably do. Some will even do even worse things for their ideology. I think it is all about ideology. I think much of it is about ideology and ego, uh, and less has to do with profit and money. Go ahead.
Well, Google started with a campaign when they first were raising money and getting off the ground, and they had a byline to their title, which was, it was Google do no evil. And as soon as the money came, that byline was erased. And what has happened since then has been the most incredible donation, for no other word for it, but all of our donations in the form of data. And that data has created a time machine for Google and for the people who now control that data. And it's quite a thing. And I think they can predict the future with such a high certainty that it is probably beyond what most people even think is possible. But Google, or whoever controls all of that data, they know where I'll be they'll know how old I am, they'll know the day, and they'll know why I die. And that's a scary thing in a way. And I hope that all comes with increased transparency and and merit. And that's all verifiable, by the way. That all you have to do is go and look at the. There's a couple of theories. One is how Vegas is run, on the power of numbers. There's a couple. I always forget the names of the two uh, methodologies they use, but um, if you have a gumball machine, and I've told this story a million times, I know. If you have a gumball machine full of gumballs, and you get 100 people to guess at that number, at such a, all you need is a small sample of 100 people to guess, and you're going to have about a 90% chance of getting the average number will be very close, within 90% range of guessing that number. And that number increases dramatically when you consider that all the information I put in my cell phone today and what I'm probably going to do on my cell phone tomorrow. And uh, that data set is so valuable, and it, like I said, creates a time machine, literally. So if people out there don't believe in the sci-fi version of a time machine, there's certainly one that exists.
Again, for me, Joe, it is about an ideology controlling the age of information, and it is about moral authoritarianism that is affecting the Western world, and is, to me, somewhat of a threat to the Western values. And I see that as is somewhat dangerous with regards, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's where I see the danger is the moral authoritarianism that is.
Now, why don't you break that down a little bit? Moral authoritarianism, and how is that affecting you or me or anybody?
I gotta say, for me, Joe, there are groups out there. The people that want to control the internet and want to control speech are the moral authoritarians. And I've seen this again. Tim Pool put this out. I mean, it was clear as day. He tried to produce a play, and groups went and called and threatened to boycott, and they threatened to get violent and shut down his venue a few times. And this has happened a few times where venues have been shut down by a group of people who consider themselves to be morally elite. And they do not want open dialogue. They want to censor and they want to punish. And I believe that is whom we are against, or who is against those who believe in freedom, a free mind and free thought, and open and honest dialogue amongst human beings, you know, and with people like that, they're not interested in a free society. They are interested in conformity. And if you do not conform, you stand a chance of being punished. And they also seem to control the economy, not only the social media and the mainstream media world. They seem to also control much of the economy, and they can destroy you economically if they disagree with you. They can slander you and basically cripple you economically where you cannot fight back.
I just pulled up the wiki version here of moral authority. It's authority premised on principles or fundamental truths which are independent of written or positive laws. As such, moral authority necessitates the existence and adherence to truth because truth does not change. The principles of moral authority are immutable or unchangeable, although as applied to individual circumstances, the dictates of moral authority for action may vary due to the basically due to the needs of human life and the differentiation. So yeah, I mean that's a scary thought, and iron-fisted control of this place is obviously what's been at play. There's been a lot of degradation. Do we even have representation at this point? And who are our real leaders? And
I mean,
I usually, when I'm asked what are my rights, I usually tell people, well, what is your government saying to you? And they're a little confused, but I'm like, no. When you look within, are you self-governing? Are you capable of self-governing? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm my own government? And I said, you better believe it. Every cell in your body is the constituency, They are your House of Representatives. If you're sitting down, you want a beer, you can't just will that beer to appear. You've got to take action. And so if your government agrees with the constituency that that beer sounds good enough, then you're going to get on your feet and go to the refrigerator and grab it. It's as simple as that.
What if you don't have money for a beer and you can't afford it?
Now, that is the most common response that I get, is the next issue is money. Now, what are you producing to get that beer? What are you capable of producing? And that's the hardest part, is finding out your strength, finding out what it is you can do to put that beer in the refrigerator or call somebody to bring it, whatever it is. However it is you get that, that is based, that's the principle of self-governance. It has nothing to do, it's intrinsically, it's intrinsically connected to money, but it's not about money. If you're able to truly self-govern and have, that means putting full faith and credit in yourself, then that won't be as much of a worry. So, usually money does come up, but it's not always about money. And there is a huge overall trade. JP, you're all over. I'm not sure what you mean. I just answered your question. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but it's certainly, money is the first thing people fall back on. Well, what is money? And then you can look at money, and are you looking at it from the perspective that money as we know it, at least paper money? And here I am going to skip all over the place now. Don't you find it funny too that we place value in that money? Look at a dollar bill. Is it any different from $100 bill?
As far as currency goes, and there's two different pictures on the bill. One's a Benjamin, and the other one, there are different pictures of dead white folks on there.
Brian, it's a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper with different information on it. That's all there is. Why aren't why are people putting faith in that? And that is certainly the issue we're at now. Banks have a lack of surety, and there is, and with inflation, that dollar bill is worth probably 30 cents less than that dollar bill was worth last year. It's pretty crazy thing. We're told the economy is doing great, but anyways, I'm not going to veer too far off of that.
Who's telling us the economy is doing great?
Right.
Who tells us anything that is great right now, and who feels great right now? I think we're under a time of uncertainty, the likes of which we've never seen, not only in America but throughout the world. We are facing a level of absolute uncertainty, and our establishment is not to be trusted. They get things wrong a lot, and they're very arrogant, and they're very sanctimonious, and they're not explaining things to us in detail. And for a lot of Americans, the sanctimoniousness pisses them off, and they have a right to be angry. Because, who wouldn't get angry if all they tell you is, the big lie, but they're not telling you details on why it's the big lie? Give us some more information than that. Tell us more. Give us more detail. And first of all, don't tell us the big lie. Tell us this is the information we have, and let us decide whether it's true or false. We don't need to be lectured to. We need information, and we can decide and decipher for ourselves, what information is good and what information is not. These aren't our pastors. We're not going to a church sermon. We're trying to hear news, and that's something that's rather rare today. And I don't know if it's the age in which these people are, the generations, the generational gap that they've grown up in. But it seems like they don't act in the way that other that people have acted before, and then they want to censor those who criticize them, and they can't even take criticism. They try to shut criticism of them down. And okay, I don't want to get into it. You know what? Here's boomer alert. There we go. So, like I said, we're living in an age.
Well, we certainly have seen it, and we can agree on censorship. I think our conversations alone have been really difficult, and it's hard to think about it. But a lot of our ideas, at least in my case, a lot of my ideas are limited. At least here on YouTube, I don't put a lot of faith in YouTube, but I can go to other platforms. I can go to I can go to my own recordings, and just say what I want to say. And a lot of times those are simply recordings I'll never publish because what's the point in some cases, especially here on YouTube when I know it's just going to get taken down. And in other places, there's people out there who communicate the ideas really well, and I think you're doing a pretty good job. But you've certainly changed your views a lot in the last couple years, I think, in questioning a lot of these characters, and just in the questioning alone. Do you agree with that, or have you stayed the same?
I certainly have changed with regards to my demeanor, and there's still a part of me that is angry at those who censor and decide to censor, and those that are sanctimonious. But part of me is realizing I'm not, I'm doing less of engaging with people that believe that censorship is okay, and even arguing with, and they're primarily on the left. I just I don't want to deal with that because it doesn't do any good. And I got to say to myself, where is this discussion taking me? Is it taking me to anywhere productive? And if it's not, I don't want to basically deal with it. But and again, I go back to this belief again. The main reason for censorship and the moral authoritarianism has less to do with money than it has to do with ideology and ego attached to that ideology. That is my belief, and that is my belief as of now. And I have not heard anything to change that opinion. I believe that people are egocentric, and they will do things that will go against the grain of profit. And this is, when I studied, the movie studio system, one of the things a lot of the movie studios, the heads of the movie studios didn't do is get into television because they had an ego about television, that it was too small and it was a corny little thing. And the movie studios that got involved with television did very well, and those that didn't did suffer. And we're seeing the same thing here, that ideology seems to be making, particularly with Twitter, has made that company suffer economically, and is being exposed to lots of things, and it's making it, and probably the more you know about it, the more it's on a false deck of cards. And I think a lot of it's on a false deck of cards because of the ideology that was run around it. And I think the same thing can be said about mainstream media. A lot of these people have egos and ideologies tied to those egos, and they're not doing their job. They really think they're good at, like, they're people who think they're good athletes, but when they get up against a good team, they don't match up. They think they're a good boxer, and then they get put up with a top contender, and they get creamed, and they're put in places that they shouldn't be in. They're not deserving of the space they're in. And I'm not saying that I'm any better. I'm just a person that's an observer, and that has been a television fan for years, and I'm seeing people who act in certain ways that I have not seen. Joe, have you left the stream? Because I'm not seeing you at the moment.
No, I'm actually on cam. I don't know what's going on here.
I
You should
don't
probably
see
reboot.
you, but that's fine. But do you have anything to add to what I've said? Do you see the same things, or is there a different perspective from you?
I tend to agree with some of that, but I have a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more of a controversial view for now. I think it's not going to be as controversial over time, but guys like Musk have been put forward, and we're subject to. We have an opportunity to believe the show we're watching or live in reality, and I'm choosing reality until the point where I'm forced otherwise, and I think that won't be a good look. I really don't. I think it'll be as long as I'm able, and as long as I'm able to produce. I'm not going to put as much reliance into so-called technology. I'm going to, try and use my own thoughts, my own creative abilities to build everything around me, because a lot of this stuff stinks, and the system has been designed to put people at odds with each other, and it's an unfortunate system to live under. I think the truth doesn't have sides. So, I don't know where Brian fell off to, but still have a few minutes here. We'll see if Brian does return. Let's read some of the comments going on here in the chat room. All right. Oh, Dennis was here. He left. Scott pooped. Coco can see my nose. My lights are terrible. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened. I got a text from Brian. Let's see. Oh, he's got a reboot. All right. Well, I think what we can do is end it. I don't need rest. I'm actually going on a freaking road trip, Angela, and I'm going to be in Oklahoma. I'm driving right through it. So what he needs is meds. What do you got? I know you got Xanax. You told me. So I don't know. I guess Brian had to reboot, unfortunately. Yeah, it is. I don't have lights here. We're not too. Oh, there's Brian. I'm glad I didn't end it. Brian?
Yeah, I'm here. And
All right.
yeah, I'm just Joe, that and I don't know what you have said, so because I actually had to reboot, but I am saying that again, I believe that ideology and ego are really big problems in the West right now, and I could say it's on both sides, but one side has a lot of power and control, and they're controlling a narrative. And not to say that one side didn't have a lot of control before. I can remember. I think it was the mid to early '90s I remember when Two Live Crew came out, there was a gentleman who put up, I don't know if it was, he put up a banner, he put up paintings of a picture of a black man, and then someone holding his hand over his face, and it said censorship is un-American. And this was when primarily it was the religious right censoring people. And the religious right believed that they were doing things for the moral good. And the same, you know what, the same reasons why people are censoring today, they believe they're doing it for the moral good. They believe that this tool of the internet, this social media, is making reach too much for the people, and that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing today, and it's a lot of it's ego and ideology. And when when these groups that are favoring censorship are proven wrong, they never mention their wrongs. They never apologize or even acknowledge the wrongs and the behaviors that they have. And there are a few things like the Covington kids or Kyle Rittenhouse. People got that story wrong, and there's no apology for it. And let's not forget everything that's been wrong about this pandemic. One thing or another. And again, these people are playing God. And the one thing, we are social. We're not logical human beings. We're very social. And for someone to give you something to be around your family members or to build a community and even build, wealth on it, and then to pull the rug out from under you. It's very cruel what they're doing, and they're doing it without any kind of due process. And I'm not saying that we deserve due process, but isn't it a good thing to have due process? Isn't it a good thing if you're going to be punished to be given due process? I believe in that. I believe in the right of due process whenever possible, whether it is in a court of law or you're going to be terminated from a job, particularly if it's large enough. It's a good thing. Due process is a good thing. And I don't see that today. Go ahead, Joe.
No, you don't see it today. It's people are very quick to judge, not only in keeping your job, but getting a job. It's very, it's very unstable out there, and people want to make sure that. I don't know. In the corporate world right now, it's strange. I'm glad I'm not a part of it at this moment.
Okay.
Always feel better.
Okay. Let me just say this. Who arbitrates due process? That's a good question, but that's a question that should be answered. I was going to ask High Ridge Estates. Don't you think that any time there is punitive action, that due process is somewhat of a good thing? If someone wants to fire you from a job for a post that you put on social media, wouldn't you like to have at least a hearing amongst the people, like, hey, this is what I said, and this is what I meant by it, instead of just being fired? Wouldn't you? Don't you kind of prefer that? And as far as media companies are concerned, like the firing of Gina Carano or the firing of Roseanne Barr, these people didn't even hold press conference to the public to say why they did, and then let people question them. These are heads of companies. And why don't they do that? Why don't they, if they believe in what they say, why don't they face the music and face the public? These are publicly traded companies, and they are entertainment companies. Why don't they have the courageousness to stand by their convictions? If they believe what they say is true, if Disney believes to what it says is true, get up in front of hold a press conference and take the questions from the public, from the journalists, all journalists, whether they consider citizen journalists are mainstream journalists. Answer the people's questions. What's wrong with that? You know, if you hold a big company, a large company, particularly if you're an entertainment company, should be able to you should be able to kind of face the music to the decisions that you make. I mean, the firing of Gina Carano showed a lot of moral inconsistencies, and why not address those? I mean, and maybe they're right in doing what they do, but at least say, hey, you know, if you want to be morally inconsistent, say that. Be honest about it. Don't be hidden about it. Take it, face the music. Why not? If you believe what you believe, and part of it is both cowardice, the ideology, their idea. I feel like this ideology will lie, it will cheat, and it will steal, and it's very immoral and it's very unnoble. And that's what it looks like. Could be wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. Coco, you're wrong. He did get due process. I'm not even going to put that up on the air, but the man did get due process, and I decided that his behavior, that he wasn't going to change any of his behavior. And when you bring up behavior that you don't like, and they belittle it, that's not a good thing. You either acknowledge the behavior that somebody doesn't like, and you say, "Hey, I'm going to try not to do that." Then you can kind of move on from there. But if you do not do that, then that's kind of a no dice thing for me. Anyway, Joe, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I guess I can end it uh, on this. And I think we're on the cusp of change, and that's heading towards unimagined control systems. And is this a nightmare that is going to come to pass, or are we going to continue to move, dare I say it, back toward the older ways of doing things? Everything we do is held in that phone that you're carrying. But I think we know the answer to the question, and I think that with the accuracy of predictions and all the data that's being moved around at such a high level, that the processes of this computation is so astronomical that it's beyond the possibility for any of us to really grasp it. It's all computerized, and it's an impossible sort of situation to comprehend, I think. But I think moving back towards a time when we were self-governing, and when we were able to not put all of our faith in at least blind faith in this technology, and I don't know, calling it out for what it is. I don't know. I think it's important to do that, and maybe that's part of my old school thinking. But that's where I'm at, and I hope that that we do move. It sounds kind of like hippie talk, but I do want a movement that's more rooted in nature, and instead of this high tech weirdness. But anyways, that's it. I'm good. Are you still there, or are you frozen in time? Rye is listening. She says you've got no substance to this argument. I hope she wasn't talking about me. Oh well, I think that was a while ago. All right, Brian never has substance, unfortunately. Yeah, I think he does. He has substance. Brian's great. I really like chopping it up with him, but I don't know where he went, and I do have to get off of the call. Hello to Rye. Hello to Scott. Coco is Coco is a genius. What else can we say? Nobody argue with somebody who served in all of our world wars. Who could argue with that? This chat room's great today, by the way. This show has no what? I hope you take that back. I think this was an incredibly organized show. I think we've touched all the hallmarks of a system gone bananas. Brian has, I think you're talking about Brian. Brian has more substance in his little finger than you do in your entire being. And I think you're cuckoo. All right, Brian. You're having some issues there. Are you? I'm already concluded. I'm going to pass the microphone.
You know what? I think I want to invite. I don't know if I want to invite High Ridge Estates, but I wanted to say this about due process.
Okay.
And, let me just okay. Yeah, I was frozen, but I wanted to say that I'm not saying that all the time, but due process is just being heard out and heard out within the public square if you're going to be punished and have punitive action done to you. And a lot of punitive action has been done to people, and they've been punished without due process. You know what? I'm going to open up, Joe, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm going to open up the stream to anyone who wants to come in.
I'll be right back. Yeah. Come in now and join us in this.
I'm sending in a link. I don't know if the link is going to work or not, but I'm sending in a link, particularly to Scott, because he says that I'm not making any sense. So I'd like to hear him and what he thinks can be done better. But I think, like I said, anytime there is punitive action, there should be due process. It's a good thing that if due process takes place whenever possible. There are times perhaps when that is not possible, but whenever possible, due process should take place whenever there is punitive action. And Dawning Kitty, I did not want to hear from you, but I'll give you a chance. And again, I want to hear from you, okay, all right, only Dawning, and please do not have any foul language.
That's a bit rude.
Well, I'm changing my format. There's someone who's on this thing that I do not want coming back for his behavior, and like I said, Scott, you're welcome to come on and give your side, but you consider it to be arguing.
But you know very well due process only happens in court. In public opinion,
That's
nobody
not true.
cares. Nobody cares what you have to say. They already judged you, so just shut up. That's how they see it.
It does.
And that's
Okay.
how it's done.
Yeah. Again. It's a few people that have already judged, but do these few people get to make the decision for the rest of us? I don't think there seems to have been firing and punishment done to people that didn't deserve it, and the punishment was harsher in one way than the other. And again, I would like to see an internet where there is a court of public opinion, and it's not controlled by one entity.
That'll never change, Brian.
How do you know?
Here's the thing. They want you guys to fight, so it's never going to change. The so-called elite that you're against, they want you two to fight. That's why they have you pick sides.
See, again, this is the thing that Kitty, June, that I disagree with. I don't think that these people have any kind of plan that they're sides.
They've even said it. It's cited, Brian. You can find it. You can find where they talk about that. They want us arguing over stupid things that mean nothing, of no consequence. And if you think your vote means anything, you're also completely devoid of common sense. I'm just saying.
You know what? I have to say that I disagree with that. I think there are people with
You can
ideology.
disagree all you want. I'll show you the quotes.
Again, I will. You know what? Here's the deal. We can go over this. This is going. You know, this. I respectfully disagree with your opinion on this, Joe. I believe that, in my personal opinion, I believe that there are a group here that are moral authoritarians and they want their way, and they hold on. Let me finish. They weaponize the internet to be a place of punishment. I know personally, you know, some of the things that I've run with my city and things like that. There are people that are afraid to talk and speak openly because of the weaponization of the internet, and these people have weaponized offense, and they're very vicious people with you know, they're like Terminators. They have no mercy. They have no empathy. They cannot be reasoned with. And this, in my opinion, we are in an economic Cold War, not just in America, but throughout the Western world, and probably throughout the civilized world.
Well, all you have to point to is the media for fear. Everybody gets their information for the most part from sources that is designed to keep people at odds with one another, and it's very simple to look at because the truth has no sides, Brian.
Okay, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but again, what I'm saying is the media and other places, they are controlled. I mean, they are run by human beings. Human beings have beliefs and ideologies, and the people that have these ideologies and beliefs stick to them. And regardless of whether they're proven wrong or not, they want their way. And you know, that is what I observe, and that is what I see. And you know, I've been around the entertainment industry for most of my life. I've been around politics for most of my life, and I believe that these human beings are made of the same stuff that you and I are made out of. And when a person believes they're right, oftentimes they will do anything. Sometimes when people believe in strong principles and ideologies, they will do a lot of things to protect them, including lie, and including including cheat, and be unscrupulous. And that's what I'm observing now. That's what I'm seeing now. And it's not about money. It's not about, you know, there's some grand scheme. These people believe what they're doing, and they believe that that what they are doing is the best thing for everybody. And that's just the truth of it. That is what I am observing. And in my eyes, I haven't been proven wrong. Well, Scott, you know what? If I sound like I'm projecting, why don't you come on and tell me? You've been given a link, and you can tell me how I'm projecting. Please come on and speak to me if you believe that.
Well, you did say it yourself. You've spent a lot of your growing up surrounded in entertainment and politics, the two areas where fear and disinformation is spread. And these are also areas that instill propaganda, and they want people at odds. And I don't see how that's even debatable at this point. You know, even the red and blue colors dictate this. And at the end of the day, we all know they go and have a cup of tea and laugh about it. So, in my view, you're
Not
off the
today.
mark. You're off the mark 100%, not even 99%. But we can disagree, and that's okay. I'm not angry at it. And Scott should come in and try to put you on blast. I think you should try it.
Scott said he
You know,
doesn't
I've
have
always,
time for buffoons. That's what he texted me right
you
now.
just,
So
you
I'm
just,
sorry.
here's the deal. You just called me a name, but you didn't come up with any argument. I say, human beings are often made up of the same stuff, and people do things because they believe that they are correct and right in doing so. That is my belief, and I have, and for the most part, there are people who are sneaky, who want as much pleasure and this and that. But I believe, on average, human beings are as arrogant and as lofty as can be. And the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And these people have good intentions, but they're paving the road to hell.
as usual.
I'm called,
Another.
he called me a buffoon. Okay, there we go. Good intentions. Here we go. Scott, what response do you have to what I've just said?
Brian, I barely understand what the fuck you've been ranting about all night. So, how is everyone else doing? How are you doing?
Ah,
We're
how
doing
you
good.
doing, Scotty?
It's a glorious fucking evening. It's Monday night. It's about 73 degrees up here in upstate New York. Not very humid. It's a nice night. So,
About halfway through summer already. It barely feels like we're in it.
thank God for that. But the heat's a coming, boys.
It has been a rather mild summer. And again, my point is this: the people that run the media and social media are made of the same stuff as you and me. And a lot of times they're doing things because they believe that they are in the right in doing so. And they think that their censorship and their I mean, what they're doing, they think they're doing it for the greater good, and I don't think that they have any, that there's some kind of plan that they want us to fight one another. No, they believe that they are in the right and in the correct, and that's what I.
No, the powerful moneyed elites have always been pitting the lower classes against each other to divide us, to keep us under their thumb. This has been going on since time immemorial. And you know this. And they continue to do it. They continue to propagandize us, Brian, like JP's been saying all night. This us versus them, this liberal versus conservative, this Tim Pool versus Jimmy Dore horse shit is all pretty much a giant psyop by the military industrial complex to keep us focused on bullshit while we continue to wage our failing imperial wars. How about that?
Well, I mean, the thing is, we have been waging our wars, but again, these people think that they're, when we've waged our wars, these people did so because they believed that they were doing the right thing.
So, what does that have to do with anything?
It has to do. Well, you're saying. Go ahead.
Have you heard what happened with Vince McMahon lately?
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah, when he yeah, but what was it? Who the fuck was the other guy, Scott?
Guys, please.
Where they were sharing a woman.
Johnny Ace, after Vince McMahon got tired of the one illegal paralegal, he said, "Hey, Johnny Ace, why don't you take her off my hands?"
All right, guys, please. I don't want to.
Well, you know what they say about sharing, Scott.
Sharing is caring, and you know what?
guys,
Johnny the Ace was all about people power.
guys, please.
Power to the people.
All right, all right. Yeah. So you say that I'm projecting, and again, I do believe that there have been powers that be in the past, and there are powers that be now, and what motivates them is ideology and ego. That is what motivates most of the rich and the powerful. Certainly, money and power get into play, but once they get that money and the power, they they want control, and they think they know what is best for everyone. And I have my theory on why these things perhaps are happening at a worse rate, and I think it may be. Tim Pool said Now women, by the way,
Oh God.
women are now in more control of the social media companies. Hold on, can I finish? Tim Pool said that women are communal and authoritarian. All right.
Okay, all hell's breaking loose.
You know what? I think it is time to end the show. We're not gaining anything here. And,
I think we're good.
No.
all right, goodbye. Good
It's
Lord.
getting gassy. It's getting gassy.
It was just getting stupid. And, I don't want to hear any more morons. Egocentric. I guess they don't agree with what I'm saying. But, and they say that what I was saying was whatever. And you and I can disagree, but their disagreements are not. They just come with nothing. Just a bunch of nonsense. So, anyway, Joe, is there anything to add before we end this? Again,
I'm already good to go. Just like and subscribe. That's what we need.
like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Do you think that? And what do you think motivates the people that are censoring and the censorship and the power and stuff? What do you think motivates the people? And then I'll give my answer. And if you want to continue with a rebut, what motivates human beings? What do you think motivates human beings?
Are you asking me or the general populace?
Yeah. What do you think motivates human beings?
Maybe it varies. We know this. And what motivates somebody to do evil things, and what motivates others to do the right thing is always an interesting debate.
All right. Well, was he? What? I think it's rye bread, but I don't know how to say it. But she says when Brian doesn't want to hear it, it's game up. They were playing fart noises, rye bread, fart noises, and I just repeated what Tim Pool said, that women are communal and authoritarian, and from what I gather about talking to you, rye bread, you are somewhat authoritarian. And then she says, fart noises because all right, get at it. All right. Now I'll go with, yeah, this is, okay. I'm going to bring Scott back onto the screen and say, and just see what he has to add to the conversation here. And then we'll call it in. Please no more fart noises because you are still here. Scott, what else do you have to add?
I don't have anything to add. I think my co-host Rybread is expressing herself quite well.
I was trying to understand what you were saying, and it's extremely difficult for a 6-year-old to even put sentences together. So, I guess to her, I sound like a 6-year-old putting sentences together. That's her opinion, and she has a right to that. It's however, it is an insult. It's not coming in any kind of. There's no diplomacy here. It's just insult, and she seems like she could be part of the mob, part of the cancel culture mob, part of the Paul Pot. All right. Anyway, Joe, do you have anything to add before I end this show?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Joe, why are you doing fart noises? Why? All right.
I'm
Anyway,
sorry. I actually let my mind go to the dredges. All right. Brian, any last thought?
again, and I'm going to be kind of a broken record here. You know, I remember being with my father, and he was kind of a film historian, and again, he looked at the old studio bosses And those people had ego and ideology. And the same thing that drove those old studio bosses are the same thing that drive these social media companies. Ego and ideology. That is the main thing. And they are human just like us. And there's no chess playing with the human beings and they're trying to see if we'll fight each other and stuff. Sometimes that does happen. But I think a more simple explanation is these people think that they know what is right and they believe that they are protecting the masses from information. And that is my belief. Joe, anything to add before I end this?
Nope, we're good.
And I'm not offended by fart noises, but I guess to her I say extremely offensive things. The one thing I did say is that women are, and it was what Tim Pool says. I don't know if that's true or not, but he says women tend to be communal and authoritarian. I don't know if that's true. There are more women that control these social media companies, and maybe they believe that in their minds that what they're doing is good, and perhaps they're being paternal and keeping the information away from the rest of civilized society. Anyway, this has been Brian. Subscribe, and share the video if you gain anything. Joe, anything else to add before I call this show a day?
For the 5th time, we are good to go.
Goodbye, everybody.